All right, welcome to this weekly preparation with Bill by Trading. We have a very busy week this week. We have a lot of earnings, starting with banks and some healthcare companies, stocks, equities. And then we also have some semiconductors in tech, ASML, and then TSM as well. So let's start with those, and then we'll go over some other topics and some other names that could be potential. So firstly, on Monday PM, First Bank Corporation, basically looking at, so just planning out these levels, right? You can see that it has a nice short-term uptrend. This $57 area is going to be rather important. Levels that you could potentially play on the downside is I would look for maybe, if we get a gap down to support, maybe $51. The $50 to $51 could be an area. So basically you have this range. It's like, what is it, 11% or so range that it could be in, 10 and a half or so to play within. Ideally it breaks out and then goes and touches those highs there. Citibank is Tuesday AM. Looks good, right? Nice uptrend. It's bull flagging to the 21 EMA right now, and then maybe Tuesday AM, the earnings can act as a catalyst, but there's nothing wrong here. This looks nice. It's uptrending, and it's a place to be in. Really, what I would look for is maybe some intraday stuff. We get earnings, maybe we get a gap down. If we do get a gap down, an area that I'd be interested in is right around here. This $134 level. You got the 50 EMA that's pretty close to it, but then it's also around this breakout level too. So it could be a breakout and retest, and maybe it chops around for the first 30 minutes, and then it starts to try and make an A up or go higher, and then you can have potentially day trade or maybe turn into a swing trade depending on how far that 3-day pivot is above you. Goldman Sachs, again, Tuesday AM. This is obvious level of support here, this $1,000 area. Also pretty close to the breakout area. Not quite the same, but you can, if you really cared, you could always do that too, right? The breakout and retest happened here. And so continues to hold the 50 EMA. It looks good. JPM Tuesday AM consolidating at the highs. It's got a pretty nice base here. We are looking for a breakout basically, and to see if we can get any intraday action. Bank of America, this is also on Tuesday AM, breaking out all-time highs. It's grinding up the 8 EMA. Everything's pointing higher. This is pretty nice. If we get a gap down, around the $56 area, you might be able to play that. Maybe it gets bought up and set the stops at the low. It just kind of depends. Wells Fargo, here's an important area here, this $87 area. We don't have much room up above though, so it's not the best risk reward in my opinion. AEHR, this used to be a market darling. This is on Tuesday PM. Not part of banks, but you can see a nice base, broke out, flagged, and then a rip from there. But ever since, it got super volatile, and now it's kind of coming down. I would be shocked if you got the $58 area, so just be mindful of that. ASML, this looks pretty solid. It's been pretty choppy up around here. It's pulling back to the 50 EMA. It's a close slightly above the 21, but the 5 days flattening. It's below the 8. Earnings might be, I wouldn't touch this until earnings. Earnings could potentially be the catalyst to get this thing rolling again, right? But overall, it looks okay. It just broke out of this base, and now it's kind of chopping around a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. We just need some sort of catalyst. Progressive base, it hit prior supply around this $240 level. $238, $37 level. It's holding the 8 EMA on that pullback. It had a nice, pretty strong move. It's above the 200 now. The 50 looks like it's going to cross the 200 at some point this week. That's a golden cross if you guys care about that stuff. I don't really, but it's just more information. It's going to be really important to hold this $237 level. BlackRock, it's pretty sloppy overall, honestly, pretty hard to trade. You could draw a down trend line here and wait to see if that will break. You could draw a wedge right here as well to see if that holds. Maybe it fills out and starts to go. it chops around in here a little bit and then it breaks out and goes. I don't know. This is kind of hard. It's below the 200. It's just sloppy. Move on. Morgan Stanley, this $205 level, pretty obvious, 50 EMA. If we get a gap down around there, I think that's playable. Otherwise, we're watching for the breakout of the $230.47. It's near all-time highs, so we're looking for some gaps to potentially play against. J&J Healthcare, pretty strong name. Base, ideal. What I would like personally is a gap down to this $247 level. I'm actually going to create an alert on that base or this breakout level here, and get like an undercut of this 21 EMA and then reclaim it. So it pulls in, it tags within there, and then reclaims. I think it'd be a nice breakout and retest, give you an opportunity to get into a potentially very strong name. So I think that's a potential there. PNC, looking at all-time highs, nice base breakout. Any gaps down to these breakout levels, I think will be interesting. MTB, same thing, breaking out into all-time highs, breakout, pull back to the 21 EMA, and now we're pushing out of this large base. All of these banks look extremely similar, right? United Airlines, breaking out from this ascending triangle here, coming back in for the retest. Doesn't look too shabby. It's holding the 21 EMA. The earnings is Wednesday PM. So maybe they run it up before earnings. Maybe it chops around. It doesn't really do anything and just waits. Maybe it retests this $120 level with the 50 EMA, like 116, 117 by then, somewhere around there. I don't plan on touching it before earnings. So Thursday, UNH Thursday AM, that is United Healthcare. This got crushed over here on news. I forget what it was. It was a nice buying opportunity for like long-term holders, but when it comes to trading wise, this is pretty, it's been grinding up to 8, up to 21, respecting, pull back to the 21 here, grinds up. The 50 and the 200 are up. It looks okay. I'd be super interested in what it would do for earnings. We do have a rather large gap unfilled around this area here. So maybe it slowly works its way up to that. If it does, you got a 16% move or so. It's not super high beta. It's kind of a slow grinder, just like all these banks, which is just fine. TSM is a big one. Thursday AM. I am looking for really the area that it is in now to hold. Otherwise, we have 420, which is the also confluence of the 50 EMA. And we also have the anchored VWAP that is coming up here from the last earnings as well. And so from last earnings to basically today, let's go close to close, 15%. So it's not a hot, like it can move intraday. But it honestly hasn't done too much. It's nothing like Micron or INTC or anything like iBeta movers like those. But it's an important name to look for. US Bancorp, again, nice base. All these banks basically look the same. They're all at all-time highs. So measure out your levels, be prepared ahead of time, and go from there. And then just monitor as you can throughout the day. GE, breakout, all-time highs, pull back. I was looking for this $355 to $353 area. Tag that. I missed the entry, which is fine. But now we have earnings in the AM on Thursday. This looks. I would, given the opportunity, get in on Monday. However, we do have some economic data. So I'd get in at maybe Monday, Tuesday, potentially Wednesday, but for sure be out by Wednesday PM. Don't hold stock through earnings. CFG, breakout, retest, right? All of these stocks look good. Netflix has been crushed. Doesn't look good overall. If we go out to the weekly, maybe it's at a potential area for support. I've been talking about the shorting this thing for weeks now. All of them would be working. I think you'd be hard pressing it down here. However, if it does break and get this gap fill, if it breaks this low here, if it breaks this low here, we could potentially be heading to $60 or so. So I don't be shocked if that happens. A nice gap down to $60, and then I don't think that'd be such a bad idea or bad thing. because then you could look for a pretty large gap down for a buying opportunity there. And maybe that sets the bottom here. Otherwise, if that fails, then maybe we're looking at the $55 area. So that's kind of how I will be looking and seeing if we can play Netflix like that. But we shall see. That's Thursday PM. Friday, Regions Financial, nice base. Look, they all look the same, right? They all look the same. So go look at financials. All right, TFC. This $52 level is important. Fifth Third, breakout, retest. Okay, important level here. Travelers, insurance. Nice downtrend line. Breaks out. Holding the 8. It's grinding, right? It's grinding. Not high beta, but it moves decently. If you like something that's a little bit more controlled and not as volatile. KBW, there you go, uptrend. All right, focus up for the week. Other names that these are my favorites here. Hood, I took profit on the prior Thursday, didn't really do anything all week. I think a nice little flush of this here is appropriate, especially after it broke out from made the weekly highs and failed to hold them and then sold off. And basically it's closed within basically where it opened at. I'm looking for, this 103 area. I wouldn't mind this $100 area again. That would be another nice thing, I think. Maybe 103 or so. I'm looking for that. I think that'd be a decent entry. Doesn't have earnings, so we don't have to worry about that. ANET, nice wedge here, breakout, holding the highs. Anything that sells off, I'm looking for a 176 entry to 174 area. So basically a breakout retest, right? And then you look for someone to risk against. VLO still looks great. I took 2 shots of it last week, lost on both of them, entered in it, undercut, and then did its thing, and it just chopped me up a little bit. Nothing serious. Only lost 2R last week, so we just continue on keeping on. Follow the process. It's breaking out of the base, right? Everything is going up. The EMAs are train tracking. It looks good. Apple's tight at all-time highs. It is an expensive stock right now. However, they got a little boost from their announcement of prices going higher. DELL, this is everywhere right now. I didn't like it before because they had a pivot on gap that was not filled, that was acting as resistance, especially on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, it cleared that. Friday, we get some selling. I'm looking for a higher low to be set. I think somewhere within this 416 might be okay, but it has to hold. Ideally, this 436 holds because it's already at the breakout area of this prior resistance, and then we're not too far away from the all-time highs here. So DELL, it does look pretty good. NVIDIA also looks great. Look at the weekly here. If that's not bullish, if you can tell that's bullish, I don't know what would be. It's holding the 200 EMA. Very strong week on volume. It is important to break out of this 212-ish level. I wouldn't be shocked if we got a little bit of profit taking around this kind of digestion area. However, the average participant from all-time highs is now above water per close. And so the average participant from where is this here? The last earnings is also above water too. So things are starting to turn around. We get a little quasi double bottom here. It broke this high. That's why I'm calling this a double bottom, short term at least. And so it looks pretty decent, like it's turning around. I like it. CAT is a breakout and a retest look. This could be Friday, could be a decent area to risk against. If it dips any lower, maybe Tuesday's low of 909.53 could be something to risk against. AMD, this is also everywhere. I'm not a super fan of semis and memory right now, just because they're sloppy. But I figured I'd go over it. We do have an important level to break here from this pivot on gap from $575.66 to $565.15. That still has potential to act as resistance. It did here, and it has not cleared it yet. So, they're saying, I've seen a lot of charts saying, hey, we have a gap here. This might be a support gap, and here we go to all-time highs and continue on. That might be true. there also might be better places to be. Google, I do like Google. It's holding an anchor VWAP from this low. So for now, this is a lower high. It found prior supply at this prior supply area. And ideally, this is a lower high that can kind of propel it up higher. I do like Google. I like that it was an inside day. We'll see what this week's brings. Now, I have some short names for you. These are my favorite shorts for this week. APLD. Look at the everything. It's basically the reverse of longs, right? Train tracking down 21, 8, and the 5, staying below the 5. It hit the 200 EMA. It's coming back for it really quickly, and it's looking weak. I wouldn't be shocked if we get $25 here. SMR, consolidation, weak bounce. It undercut these low, very weak bounce. It's still holding above below the 8 EMA and the 5 EMA. So this looks like a bear flag to me. Looks like a bear flag. So I wouldn't be shocked if it starts heading back down. Where could it go? It could go to 730. That's really the next area I would be looking for. So if you guys are looking for shorts in this market, SMR might be one, APLD might be one, Albemarle might be one. Important level here, breaking down. 117 could be next, then 110 could be next. If 110 fails, you might be going to 88. Let me draw out those levels for you real quick. And so that's kind of how I would look at that, just level by level here, and see how price reacts at those levels. But it's under the 200. It's under the 50. It's under a lot of these things. Where's the pressure? The pressure is down. You don't go try and catch a falling knife. This name is broken. It's going to need some time. SpaceX, yeah, don't be mad. This looks lower, right? Everyone's saying, hey, you shouldn't buy the IPO, blah, blah, blah. It ripped, it blasted off the first 3 days. And what's it done ever since? Come underselling pressure. So I'm basically looking at, IPO price, right? It's now accepting below. Actually, I lied. IPO price was 135 down here, right? The opening was 150. Either way, we're accepting below these lows here, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if we got rolling to the downside. I'm looking for $100, maybe even 90. That I wouldn't be mad about that. JOBY, important area, resisted at the 200 EMA, breaking these lows. Where could it go? I'm watching this $7 area or so, 10% move on the way down. ACHR, bear flag, trending lower, failing to hold the 8 EMA, gets rejected at the 21, right? So I think this looks like it's going to $4 or so. This name is now under $5. So if a name is above $5, institutions can buy it. Once it gets below $5, they have to sell it, because some institutions cannot hold names under $5. So you get automatic selling pressure there. ONDS, I know it's people love this name. I mentioned it last week. I said this short up here is not the trade because it has prior support here. However, breaking this 735 or even the low of Friday of $7.21, this looks like it's going to start heading down to $6. So you have like a 12, 13% there. MSTR continues to look weak despite Bitcoin looking like it might want to turn around. But real tight days, gap up into this pivot on gap from Tuesday the 7th, $126, $100.26 and $98.33 acted as resistance. This is why I have these pivot on gaps on here. And so really, honestly, this just looks like a little bounce. It looks like it's heading back to $82. I wouldn't be shocked if we get down to $70. So I do like this short this week. Those are my favorite looks. Other longs that are interesting, I think, are CrowdStrike, building on a little base here. I'm just going to move through these so you can go look over them. DDOG, in a little consolidation, but it's holding well. MPC, similar to VLO, it's just a little bit more extended, but it looks good. LMD is kind of turning around here at this prior breakout area. It's holding it so far. Let's just call it 69 to $70, holding the 8 EMA. This area right here, this $69 area, is pretty obvious, right? That's an obvious area. So maybe you could undercut and a reclaim of it. That might be a decent entry. But overall, it's holding right now. Meta has been very busy in the news lately. Mark Zuckerberg made his first tweet in like 3 years on, it wasn't on compute, but they made a compute announcement. I think it was on Wednesday. They got all the neo clouds got hit on it. which they don't look good. They're no-go right now, in my opinion. And then also talking about coming out with their own models and then kind of stirring up a price war, which is good for us, right? And so it's got nice moves off of it. If you zoom out for the weekly, downtrend line broken. Now, ideally, it holds it. We do have a gap here that needs to hold. It still technically didn't fill this gap down. We have some price that hasn't been touched in here. So ideally, that sets up, chops around a little bit, and gives us a decent entry. TEM still struggling at this $63 area, but it still looks good. Still looks good. IBM looks decent. I'm still looking for a higher or low to be set somewhere. This could potentially be it. If not, I have alerts set at 278, and then I even have alerts set at 273. LNG looks pretty good. It made a nice move over the last couple of weeks. I'm looking for a retest of this 245 to be interested. GEV retest of the prior highs, and it's pulled back to the 21. It's holding the 21. The 5 EMA is starting to flatten out here. I think this is an interesting area to watch. VRT looks pretty interesting too. Downtrend line break, come back. It's holding this important $300 level, and it's kind of retesting the breakout area up here. It's a little sloppy, but I thought it was interesting. I thought I'd mention it. GE, it's got earnings this week. We'll went over it. RTX, breakout at this important 195 level, come back or found supply at 200 bucks or so. Came back to retest it, and looks like it could potentially start heading higher. So RTX looks decent. ARM finding support at this $300 level. It's still under the 8 and the 21, but it has potential to pop this week. Other shorts, Oracle. I was looking for shorts or a pop last week because it's been so sold off. It did not happen. Maybe it happens this week, but if it breaks this $134 level, it could continue on down. Yet at the same time, it could be an undercut and reclaim, and that is what could send off the bounce that I've been anticipating. Already went over Netflix. CoreWeave, don't be mad at me. I don't think this doesn't look good. It's holding underneath the $95 level, $100 level. I think this looks like it's heading to 68 bucks or so, just look wise. The name isn't dead. Long term, I'm sure it's going to be great. We don't have enough compute, even though Meta kind of broke these names for now. But right now, they're just not the place to be. CCJ, again, you don't want to short. Maybe this was a decent entry on Friday, but from now to here, you only got 5%. Actually, I'm going to take that one off. I don't like that risk reward. All right, what do we have coming up economic-wise? We have a busy week. You're going to have to manage your risk. You're going to have to stay on your toes, especially with earnings season beginning. And then on Tuesday, July 14th, we have inflation rates. We have Warsh testimony, and then we have PPI on Wednesday, and then we have retail sales on Thursday, and then Friday we have building permits, housing starts, and then Michigan consumer sentiment. So we have a very busy week. Monday will most likely be volatile. It might be a no-touch week, which you don't have to press buttons every week. Just make sure you prepare, look for your setups, and if you make your money, if you hit your targets, get in and then get out. Manage your risk, and I'll catch you next week. Later.